Video games. They're a very popular form of entertainment nowadays, but they sure can be expensive. You have to buy the console, which can cost hundreds of dollars on its own, and then you still have to buy games to go with it, extra controllers, and any other accessories. And we haven't even talked about what you have to buy in the games that you already paid $60 for. But what if you could get a cheap console with games already loaded onto it? This proposition is what caused the rise of plug-and-play consoles during the early 2000s, which usually offered classic or cheaply made licensed games. These were very popular and made companies loads of money without them having to invest much into it. Even though they have long since faded from the spotlight, they did make somewhat of a comeback with the NES and SNES mini-systems, which became a massive success. PlayStation even got on the fun with the PlayStation Mini. Moving on. One company that arose from the plug-and-play craze was none other than MyArcade. MyArcade makes a lot of plug-and-play systems that have classic games on them, and some pretty big names at that. This led them to make portable systems, like the Data East Hits Pixel Classic, which features 8 classic games from Data East and 300 extra, all for around $30. I bought 50. So these are the games advertised all over the box for being the Data East hits. And I mean, yeah, that is Burger Time. Even though these games aren't bad, they can get pretty boring quickly and aren't really anything special, especially since they are the main selling point of the system. But hey, that's what the other 300 are here for, right? One of the first games you see when you scroll down is Curly Monkey 2. It's just a basic 2D platformer, and you can throw a boomerang. When you start the game, it says you are on stage 1, implying that there are more. And there might be, but I have no idea how to get to them, because once you get to the end of the level, it just kind of stops. There's no goal or anything. This does make me wonder, though. If this was Curly Monkey 2, then what happened to the first one? Oh, of course, it's under the second one. Maybe Curly Monkey 2 is a prequel? The first game is basically the same thing, except you can only take one hit instead of having a whole health bar. These games are definitely not the worst things on here. They're not good though. In this game you play as a tiger with tennis shoes on, and you have to jump through rings of fire and dodge electricity traveling through the floor. The game doesn't control very well, and it's pretty hard to try and jump through one of the hoops and not get damaged, even if you jump straight through it. You're probably wondering if there's an Amusement Park 1. There isn't. This is just another basic 2D platformer. You play as who I presume is the Monkey King, and you jump on these little bug creatures. And for some reason when you die, you get flown away on a pterodactyl, which looks more triumphant than a death screen should. This game isn't really anything that weird, it's just boring and the controls are really bad. Oh, oh no. Yeah, so once you get past the masterpiece that is this game's title screen, you get one of the worst boxing games I have ever played. Your opponent just walks towards you and hits you over and over again, and there's no way to block. And when you punch back, it just doesn't work. Well, I guess since I can't get past the first round, let's move on to the next game. It's Slots. Not much else to say. This game is stupid. You're supposed to lead this girl to the goal of the level, but she only follows the floor pattern direction things. But some of them let you choose which direction you go, but I have no idea how to choose which direction, and I end up dying by hitting the wall. The game also runs at 1 FPS, so that's cool. This game is pretty simple. You play as a Miss Pac-Man knockoff and draw a line by running across the horrible area, and you trap these weird creatures inside of a square. But you can't trap more creatures inside of that area once you make the square. You also have a weird sausage guy chasing you the entire time, trying to kill you and get rid of your lines. The game is fun for about 5 minutes, but like most of the other games on here, loses any ounce of fun very quickly. The only reason I even talked about this game was because I thought the name was funny. I love how intense the name for this game is. Like, it sounds like I'm going to be killing something on my lawn. But no, it's just mowing. You just mow until you run out of fuel. A real man's dream. This game is kind of like Doodle Jump, except you can't move, and it's not interesting. It's just a jumping penguin. This game is kind of like the evolution of Penguin. You play as a grumpy looking fellow, and like in Penguin, your goal is to jump up platforms. But this time, you can actually move left and right, and the platforms are moving down instead of left and right. There are also enemies, health, and 1-ups. This is another one of those fun for a little while games, but hey, at least the grumpy dude looks funny. This is another pretty simple 2D platformer that looks kinda like the Jungle Book. It has vines to swing and climb on, and your goal is to save these tied up monkeys, usually guarded by these buff guys with guns. The weird thing is whenever you find a monkey, you have to keep going, climb up, and then go back and get the monkey, instead of just going to get it your first time around. And you have to do this for every single one you find, so it gets pretty annoying. Primitive Man is a really bad 2D platformer where you play as a caveman. You also walk extremely slow, making the simple act of moving extremely annoying. And for some strange reason, even though the game is called Primitive Man, making you think it would have a prehistoric setting, it actually takes place in a modern city. And instead of collecting coins or anything normal, you collect alcohol bottles. This makes me think you're playing as an alcoholic homeless man instead of a caveman. But this isn't the only game in the series. There is a sequel of the name Primitive Woman. This game takes place in an Arctic village, but is pretty much the exact same thing as Primitive Man. This is just Jungle Kid. So, here we are, the last game of the video. And you know that I saved the best for last. This is Panda. This game just reuses the same enemies, obstacles, and 2 music tracks over and over again. And there are these bird enemies which are impossible to kill or damage, and are constantly swooping down and killing you. So yeah, best game of all time. Well, that was an experience. Hello? Hey, I recognize those ambient noises anywhere. Ghoulie, I haven't seen you since you sent me to the ghoul realm. I'm still not very happy about that. What? Well, all we could save was this computer and desk, which is weird because they were the items closest to the explosion. So, do you think anything else is recoverable? No, but as long as you have home insurance, you should be fine. What's home insurance? Oh, look! One of my Arcade survived. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, that means you probably enjoyed it. And I think that means you should maybe like and maybe subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, you should maybe check out some of my other videos.